What is going on, Governor's Chisgule here, and today, yes, I'm not in my normal studio, I'm in a hotel room, I'm in Cologne, Germany, at the Rise of Kingdoms Meetup, and this was amazingly fun. The developers invited me to attend the Meetup, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna fly out there. I missed the Meetup in San Francisco because literally my daughter was being born, so the choice was stay married to my wife or, go to the Meetup. So, I'm still married, I made the right choice here. However, this meetup was awesome, and there was a bunch of stuff that I learned about the direction of the game, including information about VIP 19, including information about when the equipment system's coming to the game, including information about the direction of engineering and leadership commanders. So I'm going to jump right into the things that you need to know. I'll probably flash a few pictures up on the screen from the event itself. I tried not to have my phone out the whole time recording, and I tried to really just experience it, and the event was really fun. I mean, it was mostly just socializing, honestly. We socialized, we had food, there was a Q&A session with Don, the producer for Rise of Kingdoms, and then there were some giveaways, and also, a few minor events that had some prizes, and it was mostly just hanging out. Honestly, it was just, 4 hours or so of dinner and hanging out with a bunch of people who were really passionate about Rise of Kingdoms, and it was really fun. Actually, I hope developers do more events like this because it was just so cool to meet a bunch of people. I met Baba, and we were hanging out, and I met Mad Phantom, and I met a whole bunch of folks, and I won't list everybody off, okay? But it was a lot of fun. Great event. 10 out of 10 would recommend if you have the opportunity to go to one of these that you take it. Really, really cool. So what was in the Q&A? That's what you want to know. And quite frankly, there were some really important takeaways here. And you'll probably see my eyes shifting over to my notes here. The first question that someone asked was, what are the biggest challenges for 2024? And the developer said they're going to maintain community and continue to develop high quality content. And they mentioned the art overhaul, reducing lag, and overall gameplay optimizations. So just big picture stuff, but there's more. Someone asked about VIP 19. So VIP 19 is something that I have strong feelings about. Generally, I think that the higher levels, the VIP we go into, the tougher it is to get started in the game. And the developers a while ago said that they have a threshold. It used to be every year we get a new VIP level, but that was sort of a coincidence with the sort of speed with which people were getting VIP upgrades. Now we've been at VIP 18 for a while, and the developer said, hey, VIP 18 is where it's going to be for a while longer still. I suspect it could be a good while longer. They basically are waiting for enough people to get to VIP 18 before they're like, all right, time for VIP 19. We aren't there yet, but what did they say? Well, they said that they're looking into some sort of way to spend your VIP currency. So I would assume this means some sort of store where you could spend your VIP tokens. So that is really cool, actually. I think that is a great call. I have a ton of VIP tokens. I would love to do something with them. It kind of sucks that you can keep buying bundles and keep opening chests from your alliance, and you get VIP points that don't do anything once you're maxed out on VIP. And I get this is a whale problem, or the problem of someone who's in a whaled kingdom and they're benefiting from their people, their alliance members buying chests. But I think that a shop would be a nice addition. Something to do with your VIP. Instead of having it just sit here would be great. Now, you can spend your VIP. I'm spending VIP tokens. Woo! And it doesn't actually do anything. It's increasing my VIP, but you can't see it. It doesn't matter. So if they increase the VIP level, I still have those VIP points I just used. But just in case they release this shop or something to do with the VIP currency, which is something they said they're looking at. It was not a commitment, but they're looking at. I would hold on to your VIP tokens if you've been spending them. I would not hold on to your VIP tokens if you need to get to another level of VIP. I would be shocked if the hypothetical VIP shop or place they let you spend your currency would be better than just spending VIP on the actual VIP system. That is where your VIP, in my opinion, belongs. Now, up next is new KvK modes. People asked, hey, when are we getting some new KvKs? They said they're, continuing to look at the pacing and timing of both the experience of KvK and the release of new KvKs, but did not reveal any new information about when our, next KvK is going to show up. But they did shoot from the hip a little bit and talk about historic events versus more fantasy-themed events. Heroic Anthem is a fantasy-themed event, But they released Siege of Orleans, and I think it was really cool, a historic-based KvK, and I think we're going to see more of that. Shooting from the hip, they mentioned the Siege of Constantinople, the Battle at Red Cliffs, the Battle of Thermopylae. So they're still kind of exploring some of this stuff, but I suspect and hope we will get more historic-themed KvKs. Which brings us, by the way, to the next question, which was about leadership commanders and also engineering commanders. So very important takeaways here about leadership and engineering. The developers indicated that in general, the leadership commanders are likely to be Mightiest Governor. And they mentioned that, yeah, the Mightiest Governor commanders, I think that's where we're going to see leadership, whereas on the wheel is where we're probably going to see some of these engineering commanders. And I just installed the game on a new PC here, so don't mind all these notifications for things I have to click on. They actually drive me crazy. I have to get rid of all the red notifications. But anyways, what's the takeaway here? Well, I got the impression that leadership was going to be more about garrisoning and maybe also rallying, maybe. So I'm getting the impression that like maybe new leadership garrisons will show up, maybe a rally at some point. I hope it's still open field, but I don't know. But it sounds like it's going to be on that like once a year cadence. So if they do skip a garrison cycle for whatever reason, or a rally cycle, if that's something they do with leadership, then like maybe we'll get open field. But I don't know. At this moment in time, like this set of equipment I have, I certainly would not be doing anything other than leadership set crit for leadership. Now, you may look at this and go, why the hell would you ever do what you did here? Well, there was a time where this was the best you could do. There was no leadership set. Now there's a leadership set. And I would stick with that if you're going to use a leadership commander in the open field. All right. From here, next question. Will old commanders get reworked? And they said yes, but I think they were more talking about the art direction. I had kind of got the impression maybe they would rework Hannibal Barca, but I think they were referring more to the art direction for some of these older commanders that have been in the game for a while. And I actually scrolled past Hannibal Barca because I actually do have him max level, even though, I mean, he never leaves the bench. He actually just holds my siege armaments these days, and I've even overwritten some siege armaments because I have better ones, but they had inscriptions and I used them. So anyways, siege meta, my total stats here are crazy. I can't believe how good these are. I'm going to leave this on the screen for a minute. I have to get value from these armaments somehow, okay? Up next is the decision process for like how something comes into the game, and I forget exactly what the question was, but they mentioned that their process for releasing content into the game is to first do a bunch of internal stuff to figure out what it should look like. Then they do internal play testing. Then they seek feedback and statistics from the community, and they consider player feedback from around the world when they make changes to the game, which I think is a good thing. I think the more time developers spend talking with the players of the game, I think the better and more on point their updates are going to be. It's like, yeah, when you know your customers, you make better updates for the game, right? Someone asked, what are the short-term plans for the game? And I think this is just more general kind of goals, but they said they want to meet more players face-to-face and get to know the community more, which is, of course, a great thing to say at a community event, but also true, obviously. They've been doing more of these community events and then hosting more online discussions with ROK players, which, again, I think is a great plan. The more the developers talk with the players, the more in touch they are with the things that we want to see changed about the game. And they said they want to make Ark of Osiris more esports oriented, which I thought's pretty cool. And on the topic of Ark of Osiris, they shared some fun facts. The prototype for Ark of Osiris was originally 9 times larger than the current Ark of Osiris layout. And they said that march speed was such a problem that they increased march speed dramatically. But then people were marching so fast that it seemed silly. So ultimately, they just shrunk the map back down and to the size that it's at today. And the map was originally just so large, it was actually hard to fight your enemy and actually find an enemy to fight. So I think the map is the right size. And the thing you all want to know, okay, the thing I wanted to know is Herman Prime a Smite commander? You know, I said, I actually, you know, I was hanging out with Don, the producer for Rise of Kingdoms, and I was like, hey, so I know you can't talk about this, but wink once if the new archers are Smite commanders. And I said that as a joke, and he didn't actually reveal anything about, you know, Herman Prime or any of the new commanders. I was hoping we get something. But, you know, he said, hey, look, the battle designer's not here. We'll have to get back to you on that. But that to me was actually really telling The fact that, I mean, maybe that was a dodge to actually answering the question of like, yeah, we're not actually ready to tell you what these commanders are going to do. But it is still very much possible that for the commanders, I mean, they have the art assets in the client, but they probably haven't figured out what the commanders are doing yet. Or if they have, it's not nearly close enough to done that they want to talk about it. And I mention this because I think OmniArc in a recent video had a very good point, which is that in order to combat leakers, perhaps the developers have been trying to release the information sooner about commanders. So if I were developing a mobile app, I would assume the developers want to get the images, the artwork for the new commanders into the game soon or sooner. And once that happens, people are able to crack probably the Android client and get a look at and say like, oh, look at the commanders that are coming into the game. And I assume, I don't actually know, but I assume that's how leaks happen. So the developers releasing the information about new Prime commanders coming into the game right when the new client came out is probably not a coincidence, right? And I think the earliest we'll see Hermann Prime is obviously not this Mightiest Governor cycle, but maybe the next Mightiest Governor cycle. We will see Hermann Prime and Ashurbanipal end up in the game. So maybe mid-December. I would be a little surprised if it's late December, but it's possible. But they didn't talk about the timeline at all in this meetup, just to be really clear. They simply said, hey, the battle designer's not here, so we're not going to be talking about Hermann Prime today. I'm like, all right, I get it. Question was asked, what's the commitment to making ARK more of an esport? Is that just in the ideation stage, or is there something more actions being taken? So this is probably a follow-up to one of the earlier questions. They said the direction they want to take is to make it more of an esport, and they're going to try to bring as many live streams and replay functions as possible so you can watch and view or participate in some way in the experience of the events, even if you're not playing in the event, which I thought is a really cool insight. Like when you think about the fact that we, place bets on the Grand Prix, like would anyone care about the Grand Prix if they didn't have this betting system? A few people would, but this gives you a way to be in touch, which I think is really cool with some of these events that are going on, even if you're not playing in them. And so they pointed out this is a very important part of their esports, I think, strategy for the game is to have stuff like this. But they do want to make things more like an esport to level the playing field, like how we have in the Grand Prix today, like trying to match teams of similar power and punch. And they want to host more esports style events in the future where everyone has the exact same building blocks for what they use, same accounts, which I think is great. So I look forward to seeing more of that. And I am a little surprised. I mean, one of the natural things that happened, I mean, maybe it wasn't natural, but folks started to get together to play Rise of Kingdoms together at the meetup. So we were playing Champions of Olympia as a group together, which is really cool. And it was actually fun. Like you're in the room with your team. It's a different experience of the game, and I thought it was actually great. So I would actually love to see the developers do more of that sort of stuff, including at the meetups. So the next thing they said is, what happened to other improvements listed in the developer Q&A and feedbacks from previous months and years? And they referred back to things that were mentioned, like reworking some of the older commanders, I think referring to the artwork, like Hannibal Barca. They also refer back to seasonal maps for Ark of Osiris, if I heard that correctly. And some of these things are just still not in a state where they're confident players will have fun with it. Which brings us, by the way, to the big thing. The big thing that you want to know, that I want to know, and I'll tell you up front, the developer said, save your materials. Technically, it was a community manager who said, save your materials, because in the first quarter probably of next year is when we actually see the equipment update come through. So what's my read on this one? Last time we talked about equipment, we had a session with the developers, and it was actually me plus some big figures in the Rise of Kingdoms community, like Fa. I mean, there were, I think, folks from 1960, 365, and a bunch of other big kingdoms there to talk about the proposed changes to the equipment system, because players weren't happy about the direction the equipment system was going. And the developer said, all right, well, the game plan at the end of that meeting that we had, that I thought was good, was that, you would basically use the same patterns you can get today and the same materials you can get today to work on the equipment that you've got. And that still could be a thing, But the fact that it's taking as long as it's taking for us to see the upgrade or the update to the equipment system signals to me that, like, there's probably more that's going to be baked in there, like a lot more. Like, I would expect a lot more. That's not something they said, but reading between the lines of what they did say, which is that, yeah, it's going to be released within the next quarter. So, like, I would assume in the January timeframe, maybe December. But the fact that it's not here yet, and to me, it feels like a pretty simple change, right? If what we're doing is making it so that this could just, like, have more stats when you tier it up, I think there's going to be something more to it. So that's either a bunch of new equipment, potentially, or that's something a little more significant than just like, yeah, you get more stats. Like, there could be random attributes, or who knows what that's going to be. But they said save materials. So probably, if I read between the lines there, you'll still continue to use the same materials you've been using. So hold on to those. I assume you'd use the same patterns, but they didn't mention patterns. They just mentioned materials. I suppose I could ask for that clarification. And I don't know. I mean, we'll see what the equipment system looks like. I honestly almost don't even care what that system's going to look like if they made it so you could break down your legendaries and get all the materials back. I honestly wouldn't care if they released new patterns. Like, I'd be fine with it. I'm okay with new chase. Like, that's actually kind of fun, I feel. But losing half your legendaries, that ain't so fun. All right, so that covers all the stuff they talked about in the meetup. I mean, it was a short Q&A section. And honestly, I don't feel like the purpose of the meetup was the Q&A. Like, the purpose of the meetup was to hang out with people. And in that regard, I feel like the event was a huge success. It's a lot of fun. In fact, the thing that I need to go to is go hang out with some folks, and we're going to go explore Cologne, which should be really, really fun. And I'll probably post some pictures of that somewhere, maybe in my Discord server. If you haven't already joined, discord.gg/Chisgule. Link will be in the description of this video. And also, I've got Kingsland, like, shockingly soon. Kingsland is, I don't know, within 12 hours from now, we're going to be battling for Kingsland. And it should be pretty hype. Now, I'm on a new laptop that should be able to play Rise of Kingdoms well, but when Kingsland opens here, it's going to be really late at night. So I might not stream the Kingsland opening. I might just, like, test this new laptop and see how it's performing in a big fight and get kind of comfortable with the controls, which are slightly different than what I'm used to. It's kind of a complicated story. I'll explain it on stream probably, but I'll stream the next day. So Monday all day long, I'm staying in Germany an extra day, not to explore Germany, but to play Kingsland. So I will be here. I will probably stream it on Monday. I'll have to figure out a better sitting situation. Sitting sucks, man. I'd rather be standing. Actually, I'd rather be using a walking desk, but whatever. If you enjoyed the vid, throw a like on here, subscribe to the channel. I'm hyped for this Kingsland, and I expect to be streaming it. Seems like the internet connection here is stable enough that I'm not going to lose connection while swarming a flag. Oh my god, I'm going to lose my mind. The Wi-Fi here seems good, but we'll see in the first part of Kingsland, all right? Until next time, my friends, you have fun. Smash the kingdom. Take care, everybody. I appreciate you.